Meeting will come out of recess, and I welcome everybody to our evening session. We have 3 public hearings on our agenda tonight. Before we get started, I do want to let the evening crowd know that earlier today we voted to allow Supervisor Clinton to participate electronically. He is out of town due to a medical situation and he had requested to participate virtually, and that is in agreement with our bylaws and with state law. So Mr. Clinton is on Zoom, and I want to greatly appreciate Tiffany Bradbury for facilitating that for 3. So he was on Zoom.
He's still there. He is still there. You guys
Okay.
can keep on rolling.
But thank you so much, Tiffany, for facilitating all this. That's a lot, and we're happy to do that. So that being said, let's get right into business. It is 6:01. So the first of our public hearings is item number 1 on the evening agenda. This is the Amsterdam District, Palmway Investments LLC, a rezoning request. So I will turn it over to you. Thank you very much.
Very much. All right. Good evening, board members. I'm here to present the rezoning request brought to you by Palmways Investments LLC. This proposal seeks to rezone approximately 87.87 acres from agricultural A1 to industrial M2 zoning. The applicant has not submitted proffers that guarantee the type, size, or location of the development on the property. However, the applicant has indicated that the development includes the construction of a Peterbilt truck dealership along with the service facility for truck repair. As you can see here, the parcel is currently zoned A1. The site itself includes hilly terrain, some of which is quite steep, pasture land, and woodland. As you can see from here, particularly on the western and northern side up near 81, particularly wooded, and there are no structures currently on the site. In terms of site access and traffic, the primary access to the site, based upon shared proposed development plans, will be from Lee Highway near the southwestern corner of the site at the existing entrance to Brown Road, as you can see there along the southeastern portion there. The applicant intends to improve this entrance onto Brown Road in order for this road to serve as a joint access point for the dealership itself, as well as for residents who live to the west side of the parcel there. As you can see, there's about 10, 11 houses there. Brown Road serves as the only entrance to those houses there. The secondary entrance, which is shown here, is a potential future entrance, is located to the east of the first entrance, further up 11, at the entrance that is shared with Star City Improvement and Loomis across 11 to the at the bottom of the screen there. The second entrance is proposed and shown on the accompanying site plan, as you can see in front of you, in order to better facilitate access to future development on the site. According to VDOT, traffic data shows about 12,000 vehicles daily on the stretch of Route 11. Over the last 9 years, there have been 13 reported accidents in and around the intersection of Brown Road and 11, most of these being rear-end collisions, with no serious injuries or fatalities reported. It's important to note that although 13 may seem high, this is in line with other crash data for that stretch of 11. In terms of utilities, the site currently has access to public water and public sewer, with both lines running along the parcel's southwestern corner near Brown Road. The site also has an additional access point across Route 11. The Western Virginia Water Authority has requested 2 water line easements along 11 to serve the broader Botetourt community. And if Palmways is amenable to these easements, that will need to be finalized before site plan approval, but that is a private matter between those 2 parties. In terms of the comprehensive plan, the 2010 comprehensive plan designates this area for commercial and medium density residential use. However, staff believe the proposed industrial use is compatible with the surrounding development, particularly with the industrial uses across 11, as well as the recent rezoning of the parcel to the east. Also, it's important to note that there are no FEMA flood zones on the property. For conversations with the applicant, the proposed development on this site consists of the construction of a Peterbilt dealership on approximately 17 acres along the southern boundary of the lot. This dealership is slated to consist of roughly 40,000 square feet as a one-story building with space for cars and tractor-trailer parking, as well as service and staging areas. However, as I noted earlier, the applicant has not proffered substantial conformance with the site plan, meaning that what they have shown here, they aren't beholden to, but they do intend to follow what they've shown. In terms of proffer conditions, you can see these here on the screen. They have proffered a vegetative buffer between 10657 and 10657D. So those houses there to the west, which I'm going to go back and show you here. So a vegetative buffer basically maintaining this wooded area here between where the Peterbilt dealership would be and the houses to the east, or to the west, sorry. As well as access to the existing properties to the west along Brown Road. The developer shall be responsible for any relocation of this access that is associated with the development of the property. That is all I have. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, myself or representatives from Peterbilt and Palmway are here. Yeah, happy to answer any questions you have.
Anyone have questions? No questions? Any discussion, or shall I go ahead and get back to I was looking at the maps. I will go ahead and open the public hearing.
Let's see if they want to come down.
Or-
Would you like to come and say anything in addition? Okay.
Oh, well, let's open the public hearing and then we'll invite you down. So let me open the public hearing on agenda item 1. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this matter? Mr. Goode?
My name's Danny Goode. I reside in the Valley Magisterial District, my house is downwind of this particular property. I'm not opposed to this development, I don't believe, but there are issues in the area with odors that are produced by several of the industrial companies there. Between Tinker Mountain and Reed Mountain, it narrows down a lot. And so we get fumes from either the welding shop on up behind the Pepsi plant, or perhaps it's the truck frame company there on occasion. The smell it's a heavy iron smell like you get from welding. It's particularly bad on Sunday nights. I don't know if it's something that they do in between shifts on the weekend or what that makes it, noticeable at that particular time. I simply have a question to this company, and that question is, what means will be had or will be put in place to ensure that the odors and fumes collected there at their facility would be cleaned up so that the residents don't smell that all the time or at any particular time during the week. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir. Is that, you want to speak on another agenda item? We'll have a hearing for each one. So this is for the rezoning on Route 11. That's not the one you want to talk about? Perfect. We'll call you down next time. Anyone else like to speak on agenda item 1? I will close the public hearing. If the applicants would like to come down and perhaps address any questions.
Good evening. I'm Chris Burns with Balzer and Associates. This is Robert Lucas with Palmway Investments, and yeah, we're happy to answer anything.
As far as the answer, or to answer the gentleman's question about odors, there won't be any odors emitted, or shouldn't be anything more emitted from what we're doing there than is actually a truck run up down the interstate or trucks that are running up and down 11 right now. So it shouldn't add anything to.
There's no manufacturing.
No manufacturing. We're
associated
just-
with this
We're
project.
just repairing trucks and testing them on a lot, and that's it. So.
Thank you. Anyone have questions?
Yes.
I can't, you know, when you take a look at the Brown Road right there, you have that shared entrance. My concern would be you have the public traffic that's going one way and the other traffic's trying to get in there. Is there a way you can separate that?
We actually tried to separate those initially when we came up with this site plan, had VDOT involved. They weren't too pleased with the distance between our entrance and another entrance, but we are looking at revisiting that. We've already sent a letter out to all the landowners saying, you know, we're going to leave the entrance where it's at. So if we do decide to change the entrance and move it down, or if VDOT will let us, we'll actually contact all those landowners again, make sure they're okay with it before we actually change what we've asked of them. We were very proactive in this thing in the beginning, making sure we sent out letters to the adjoining landowners, letting them know we were going to relocate the road. That's what we were trying to do, and give them some betterment on that. Pave it all the way in, put a bigger pipe in so it doesn't flood now. The existing road, Brown Road, floods when the rain gets up, it stops the pipes up and water runs over it. So we're trying to be as good neighbors we can, and we want to try to be very proactive on that end to make sure that we could address any issues anybody had before we got to this point.
Thank you for
Madam
that.
Chair, Mike mentioned that I actually have a meeting set up with VDOT coming up this week to talk about that just a little bit and see what the possibilities might end up being.
Okay.
It would be our preference as well to separate those if we can get VDOT on board with that.
Just from a safety issue, I think we'd be better.
That's what we were looking at. If I lived on Brown Road, I'd rather have a separate entrance.
Mhm.
That's kind of the way I look at everything.
And the upgrade too.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yes.
Of course.
Any further questions? Okay, the item before us, you see the requested actions. Is there a motion?
I moved.
Second.
To have a motion and a second to conditionally approve the M2 rezoning for the properties of Palmway Investments LLC as recommended by the Planning Commission and as included in the extract prepared by staff.
Madam Chair, I have some conversation on this. Can you hear me?
Yes, Steve, go ahead, please.
I would just like to know why at this point in the application do we not have, are we not able to proffer the location of the building? And for that matter, why we don't have the issue of the entrance resolved? What's the reason for that?
Steve, Ms. Pendleton's going to come down and
Okay.
address your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clinton. Madam Chair, members of the board, at this point, the applicant, it is on the applicant to provide proffered conditions, and they didn't, the specific things that you mentioned were not things that the applicant wanted to proffer at this time. So, and in terms of the road, that's a little bit of a interesting situation because that will be something that all the property owners, if they have a maintenance agreement or if they have a recorded easement, that will be a private issue that the property owners and the company will need to work through at some point in the future. And so in order to avoid any obstacles that might come with that, of course, any development will have to meet the requirements that come with that. And I'll just say, for the standpoint of staff's recommendations, there are other M2 rezonings that have happened out in that area, that what we call a straight up, straight down rezoning, based on the size and the location and the surrounding adjacent uses. Really did not have a great deal of conversations with the property owners and having that guidance from staff to put forth suggesting any substantial conformance to site plans or anything of that nature. So I hope that helped answer sort of your question.
Steve, did you hear that?
I did. Yeah, I'm just reflecting on it. Nonetheless, why is that? I guess I hear what you're saying, Nicole, is staff is okay with it, but I'd still like to know why they don't have that together yet, especially the location of the building.
I'm going to defer to the applicants to answer that question.
The applicants are coming down now, Steve, to address this.
Okay.
Well, right at this point, we're still looking at the building as far as how we want to locate it or orient it on the property to get our best entrance or the best entrance available, and for the trucks coming in to make sure that the traffic flow comes in and goes around the building the way it needs to, and we don't build something that's kind of backwards. And we're still going through that a little bit. Is basically what's going on. And as far as the Brown Road deal, the folks on Brown Road have been running that properties for long enough. They've got a right of way through it, but they do not have a deeded easement or a deeded right of way through it. There's nothing on the property that says they have a certain location they've got to have a road. So the reason we've been being as proactive as we can is, like I say, so we can be good neighbors for these folks. And we tried to get VDOT to allow us to have 2 entrances to start with. They pushed back on it, so we're going to try again. That's what we want to try to do. Mm-hmm. But even at that, I still want to make sure that the folks that live on those properties at the end of Brown Road, on the adjacent properties, are okay with what we're trying to do. We're trying to be as good as we can to everybody and be good neighbors for everybody.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, Mr. Clinton?
No, ma'am.
Any comments or questions from anyone else on the board? Okay, I think we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Go ahead, Steve.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
That motion carries. Thank you. We look forward to working with you all. Thank you. Item 2 on our agenda this evening is from the Blue Ridge District. Kendall Aaron and Kylie Ann Lucas requesting rezoning of 8.637 acres from R1 to A1.
Well, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I feel like it's been a while since I've been in front of you to present anything. I've been missing out, so happy to be back here today. So as you said, Madam Chair, you have a rezoning request in front of you this evening. As the legal advertisement reads, in the Blue Ridge District, Kendall Aaron and Kylie Ann Lucas requested rezone 8.637 acres from the low-density residential R1 use district to the agricultural A1 use district with possible profit conditions. These properties are located on Laymantown Road at the Sunnydale Court intersection, identified on the tax map as those very long tax map parcels that I will not read out, Information is in the Botetourt County Planning and Zoning Office, 57 South Center Drive, Daleville, Virginia. You may be familiar with this project as it was first heard by the Planning Commission in January of this year. It was tabled a couple times to allow the applicants the opportunity to submit some proffered statements to really tie down the type of development they want to do here on the property. It's currently zoned R1, as you see in front of you. The properties around it are also zoned R1, save for the property just above it to the north, which is zoned A1. That property was rezoned way back in 2006. For the purpose of keeping equine animals on the property. The number of horses on that property was capped at 3, just to give you some context as to why that piece of A1 is there, and a C of R1. There is some floodplain on the back part of the parcels there. It is flood zone A, so the property owners will have to make sure that they comply with all the floodplain regulations if they intend to do any development there. My understanding is that they do not intend to do any development, any structures of sorts of a home or the associated, I'm losing my words right now, associated private water system is not the word I'm looking for. Septic system. There it is. Septic field. Sorry, guys. So the properties here in front of you have actually been combined into 2 separate parcels. The Lucas sisters own this property. A by right use of that property is establishing a home there. The request tonight is simply to rezone it from R1 to A1 to keep livestock animals. I will go into more detail as to what that means here in just a little bit. The property here is shown on an excerpt of map 37, which identifies water and wastewater infrastructure. It's served by a private water system. Aqua serves this property. As you'll see, there are no sewer lines nearby. Folks that live in the area have said that this property has historically not perked for a traditional septic system. The Department of Health has approved this for an alternative system, and they have the paperwork to show that as well. So it is approved for a home and an actual alternative septic system. The property owners have submitted some proffered conditions. This is to help tie down the type of use here in the property. As you'll see here, the proffered conditions list out the uses that they intend to do with the exclusion of all other permitted by right uses in the A1 use district. They have proffered that no mobile homes, class A or B, shall be placed on the property. They have proffered out the keeping of swine on the property, that they shall be prohibited. Number 4 and 5 are kind of an interesting one, but do reflect the property just to the north of that as well. That's where we took inspiration for those proffered conditions. Number 4 says, at no point shall the number of livestock animals kept on the property exceed 10. And number 5, I want to draw attention to this as well, as you'll see the red text there. Livestock animals on the property shall not exceed the following animals. This is exclusive of small lot animals and household pets as defined in the Botetourt County zoning code. A, cattle is 2, B, donkeys 2, C, goats 10, or D, sheep is 10. The cattle that's identified in red at the Planning Commission meeting, that was 1. The property owners have expanded that to 2. As I understand it, cattle are social creatures. They do better when they have a friend. So they have added an additional animal there. The rest of that still applies, so they can't exceed more than 10 animals at any one time, 10 livestock animals. So they could have 5 goats and 5 sheep, and then no cattle or no donkeys. My understanding are the sisters are interested in doing a hobby farm. They're not quite sure the number of animals or the types they want to keep at this point, but they want to leave their options a little more flexible in case something comes up and they can grab a couple cows. So as I said, the definitions here, I've included a few from our zoning ordinance. The ones that are identified in that red box, animals, domestic small lot, household pet, and home agriculture, are all uses that are permitted already in R1. So as of today, they could keep those animals there. That includes 12 chickens, quail, pheasants, pigeons, and doves, 6 rabbits, and honeybees, along with dogs, cats, birds, rodents, fish. The only thing they could not keep is the livestock definition there, which is domesticated animals commonly raised for the purpose of providing meat, wool, skin, or fur for human use or consumption, such as cattle, bison, goats, swine, llamas, and sheep. So I wanted to provide some context there as the definitions get a little technical. And so I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page as to what is permitted and what would not be currently today. Believe that is all I have for you all tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The applicants are also here in case you have any questions for them. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions immediately? I think we'll have the hearing and let the public speak, and then we'll close the hearing, bring the applicants down for further discussion. Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you.
John. So let's open the public hearing on this rezoning request. I do have 3 folks that have signed up to speak. If anyone else would like to speak, I will let you, I'll get to you as soon as these 3 go. Or is this the issue that you wanted to speak about? Okay. All right. How about if we have Yvonne Lubosh, sorry, I didn't know if that was an O or a U. Gotcha. You could use one of those microphones up there if you'd like. Think they're on.
My name is Yvonne Lubosh, and I have been a resident of Botetourt County for over half my life. I currently own 3 properties on Laymantown Road, and I'm deeply concerned and disappointed with how the Botetourt Health Department has handled the permitting process for a septic system on a parcel of land intended for use by the daughters of Tim Lucas, who serves on the Botetourt Planning Commission. I know these individuals have a dream of a farm, but Rainbow Forest community is not the place. It appears that they are indifferent to the concerns of the existing residents regarding the development of a farm directly adjacent to our home. We have gathered signatures from property owners within the immediate area. While the Lucas sisters have collected signatures too, I question how many of those signatures are the people that really adjoin the properties where they're trying to do a farm. And we gave a list to the Planning Commission, so I hope you have the signatures. These parcels in question lie within natural drainage pathways that feed directly to a nearby creek. Following periods of heavy rain, this area consistently stands with water and is on there for days or even weeks. These environmental conditions make the property unsuitable for agricultural use, particularly the keeping of livestock such as chickens and goats. There are 4 significant risks: the environmental impact, that is the animal waste that will eventually seep into the water system, affecting the water quality over time, especially considering the area's flood-prone nature. Quality of life, there's going to be odors, noise from farm animals, and increased activity that will diminish the peaceful residential character of the area. The property values implications that will negatively impact the surrounding home values. The unfair tax burden. If rezoning is approved, residents like myself will not be taxed the same rate as the neighboring agricultural properties. I respectfully urge the Botetourt Board of Supervisors to carefully reconsider the rezoning request from low density to the agriculture. This decision will set a precedent that affects not only the current residents, but the future character and the stability of our neighborhood. Please ensure that this process remains transparent and based on sound planning principles, not personal or political. If this rezoning is allowed, where will it end? Whose property is going to be affected next? Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Lubosh. Michael Lubash.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Lubash, Blue Ridge District. I've been a resident of Botetourt County for over 30 years, along with my wife. Together, we owned the 3 properties on Laymantown. With my grandson, my son and my grandson living in the house adjoining the property for rezoning. My grandson is a student of Reed Mountain Middle School, have previously attended the new Colonial Elementary School since it was built a few years ago. I wish to formally express my opposition to the rezoning proposal submitted by the Lucas sisters, which seeks to change the current R1 residential zoning to A1 agricultural for the property in question. I believe this proposal is not in the best interest of the community for several reasons. First, I would like to bring attention to the history of these properties. The previous owner, Mr. Quick, applied for permits for these parcels and was repeatedly denied, as documented by the Bureau of Environmental Health. The letters and a letter dated April 15th of 19 indicates that the lots were rejected due to location in natural drainage areas, not due to percolation and percolation rates. The letter also clearly states that the septic systems cannot be installed in these areas regardless of percolation. All right, and if you refer to Exhibit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 that were submitted. Additionally, I have 73 pages of documentation right here of all these letters that Mr. Quick he was trying to get these lots rezoned and developed. And they rejected the property for a development use, which if you want to have them, I'd be more than happy to let you review them. In light of this authorial documentation evidence, I strongly urge the board to reject the rezoning request. Allowing agriculture use in this area would not only contradict prior decisions and health concerns, but would also have lasting negative effects on the community and the surrounding properties. And then again, I'd like to add, since my living there for 20 years, I controlled the dam at Rainbow Forest, the water flow. Every time we had torrential rains coming in, I lowered the water in the dam, in the lake, let the water out. When the rains came, I captured the water, let it out gradually so the houses downstream wouldn't flood out. And I know how much water is coming down. I brought this to attention to previous boards, and I've also brought attention to VDOT because the roads were all underwater in that. But nobody ever comes out to see what happens when we get these rains. And with the climate like it is now, it's going to get worse. So this isn't getting any better. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Lubash? You'll be next, sir, after him.
Oops.
Good evening. Name's Steve Lubosh, the owner of 811 that's in the middle of all the property that we're talking about today. Like I said, I've opposed this change because, like I said, my father and mother have previously stated, the land has been rejected numerous times by the health department. What's changed? The only thing that's changed is who knows who on the boards, on the zoning commission, who's going to scratch who's back. That's what's happening. It's a conflict of interest. And I just want to make that apparent that it's not right what they're trying to do just because their dad's on the board and push this agenda through. That's all I want to say to you. Please try to make the correct decision going by what we have paperwork wise. It's been in the past multiple times, but been rejected numerous times. And that's all I want to say to you guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You can. If you could, before you speak, if you could tell us your name and address, and you can use the microphone there or you can come down.
Good evening. My name is Rod Doty. My address is 871 Laymantown Road. I live next door to the property that's in question. And I have heard it said that the property can be changed to agricultural, that there are horses not too far from the property, horses in the area. Those horses, my wife and I bought our house about 30 years ago. The place where the horses are had horses on it then. It also has a barn on it that's the original barn from the farm that was in there before all that property was bought and changed hands and a subdivision put in. If the people that bought the property want A1 property, they should have gone somewhere and bought A1 property, not bought residential property and then against the wishes of all the people that live in the area, they want to change the zoning so they can raise animals. And basically, that's all I have to say. Except I am against changing the zoning.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
And we do have your comment that you submitted as well.
Yeah.
We have that. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else in the audience like to speak on this rezoning request? I will close that public hearing. And if the applicants would like to speak.
Good evening. My name is Kendall Lucas. Myself, along with my sister Kylie, recently purchased the land off of Laymantown Road. It's currently zoned R1, and we are in the process, which has already started, of building a modular home and an alternative septic system, which is different than a traditional septic system because the land does not perk regularly. We are hoping that the construction will be done by the end of the year, but as we all know, construction takes as long as it takes. The current zoning already allows us to have a residential house, an outbuilding, and small lot animals, which would include chickens. What we are requesting is a rezoning from R1 to A1 to allow us to have a small personal hobby farm, mainly for the reason that we want goats as pets. And in the definitions of Botetourt County, goats are not considered small lot animals. We did include other animals in the proffers in case 10 years down the future, I get a wild hare and want to get a donkey. That's why there's the other animal options in there. We're not looking to do anything too new for the area. Picked Laymantown because there were other farms along the road. If you're standing on our property, you can see
donkeys and sheep across the road. We have spoken to other neighbors and many other members of the Blue Ridge area. There was a petition put on Facebook. I think it was a Blue Ridge County Facebook thing, seeking petitions against it. So we did post a opposing petition seeking, seeing if people were in support of it. And I think at this point, it has over 120 signatures in support. The neighbors we were able to talk to, excluding the ones who are here today, didn't talk to us about any major oppositions that they had. They majorly had support and well wishes for us. Kylie and I are both born and raised in Botetourt. We want to continue living in Botetourt, regardless of what outcome it happens tonight. We're excited to move in and be as good of neighbors as possible. In addressing some of the concerns we've heard, based on our research, we think we're going to be taxed the same if it goes changed to agricultural. Our father has had absolutely no say in any of the planning commission meetings. He's recused himself from all of them. Like I said, we're mainly wanting to have these animals as pets. We don't have any intention of farming them or butchering any of them or anything like that. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to make bullet points. We are doing an alternative septic system, which has been already approved by the Department of Health. There was the heavy rain period in February of this year. The day after the rain had stopped, we did go and walk the property. In the area where the house is going and where we are envisioning, we would put the fencing for the goats, which would be probably behind the house. The water had already subsided and there was no substantial flood water that had been staying there. I think that's it, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Do you
For
all
us.
have any questions for the applicants? Mr. Clinton, those were the applicants we just heard from. If you have any questions for them.
I'm curious to know the connection between the animals and the alternative septic system. The alternative system is just for the house, right?
Yes, sir.
And you already have the permit for it? Is that what you said?
Yes, the house and the septic system are already being constructed. We already have the permits for those, building permit. The health department has approved the septic system. The only thing that we're trying to do tonight is get it rezoned from R1 to A1 in order to get the livestock animals. The house isn't really part of the discussion.
Understood. Thank you.
Other questions?
Yeah, some questions. On the donkeys, are these going to be the standard donkeys or miniatures?
My hope is that everything would be miniature there. I've always dreamed of the tiny mini donkeys, mini goats. If the wild hair crosses me, they have mini cattle. I don't want anything too large because of the land size. I wouldn't want a large farm there. I don't think that that would be appropriate.
Okay.
Smaller the animal, the better.
And the mix, have you decided what the mixture will be for your tent?
Once we move in, which this will all take a while because it's going to depend on funding. We both work full-time jobs. It's not anything that'll be super immediate. The first intention would probably be to get chickens, which are already allowed for. The next intention would then be to goats. If anything, we would start with 2 to 4 and see what we can handle from there. As we get into the larger animal, a mini donkey, mini cattle, that would be quite a way down the road because we would have to get fencing. So that's not, start with goats would be what we are envisioning.
And the last question I had about how much acreage do you think you'll have for pasture?
We're currently split into 2 properties. The one property, if you're standing on the road, that would be on the right is where the house is going. We're envisioning putting the goats behind the house, if allowed. And then currently the entire other side, the second property would be what we would use as pasture if we added any more animals. So I off the top of my head, I don't know exactly how many acres that is. My apologies. I don't know if I have it written down.
Do you, was that all the questions you had? You have
Yes, thank you.
do you plan to breed the animal?
Not currently. Don't have any intention of that.
If you did, you would have to, again, we have some limits here on the numbers.
Yes.
So
It would stay within the
you would
number.
have to accommodate for that. Any other questions for them? Mr. McCoy, could you come down? I have a couple for you. You might want to stay just in case we have another question that comes up. I was wondering if you could talk, we have a lot of documentation about the failed attempts to get a conventional septic, and that was from like 1980. Now, can you give us a little bit of explanation about this alternative septic and how that plays into this?
Absolutely. So I will preface this by saying, thankfully, I'm not this type of engineer and I'm not this type of planner, so I don't know a whole lot about the technical details of the alternative system. I have spoken with the health department back when this was first brought up back in January, I believe. I spoke to Jay Carter with the health department, and I have seen the pretty extensive documentation that started in 1975 and I think went throughout the 80s as well, that indicated this property would not be suitable for a traditional system. I've been assured by the health department, I've been assured by Jay Carter with the health department that this alternative system is appropriate and suitable for the property and is associated with the house and the house only. This rezoning request, of course, has nothing to do with the house, really. It's got nothing to do with the alternative system. I understand the concerns from the community, but this request in front of you today is simply rezoning from R1 to A1. The septic system and the house itself are both by right uses, whether they're in A1 or R1.
And you're also not Chris Booth or Chris or Donna. But regarding the question about taxation, I do want to get some clarity on that. I think the public comment was referring to land use for agricultural properties. I don't think 8 acres meets the metric for going into land use. Is that correct?
I'll defer to smarter people than me.
Is it 10 or is it more than 10? So they would not qualify for land use taxation because you have to have a number of acres that they do not meet. So I do want to clarify that and make sure everybody understands that. I've had a lot of constituents say, why can't I get into land use? And it's because the acreage is not large enough. So I wanted to clarify those two things. What other questions do we have? Okay.
And Madam Chair, if I may, I have the original or the proper notarized statement.
Okay. With the 2 cows. Yes. So that's the revised.
Okay.
The revised proffers.
And that's the one with the 2
It
cows.
may already be in your packet, but
It
that's the
I
original
think it's
copy.
already in there.
Okay.
So there's the original. I don't want to lose that. Okay, we have opened and closed the public hearing. We've asked questions. Any further discussion at this time? All right, then I will entertain a motion. Would anyone like to make a motion? Either
I move to
to
approve.
approve or deny?
And I'll second.
So we have a motion to approve, Dr. Scott Horn, and a second.
Second.
Brandon, any further discussion?
I have some further discussion. And doing some research, we found that the rule of thumb for acreage for cows is 1 to 5. And before I get into that, in looking up your 2 parcels, the one is 4.222 acres and the other one is 4.415 acres for your total of 8.637. So that's why I was curious on your mix of animals. Then the acreage to support goats is 1 to 3 per acre. And for sheep is 6 to 8 per acre. Then for the donkeys, it's about 1 per acre. And that's for the grazing aspect for your animals. So from my math, if you were to use larger animals for the preponderance of your livestock, we're short on acreage. So that's all I got.
Okay. Other discussion? Mr. Clinton, do you have any more discussion?
No, I don't.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to conditionally approve the A1 rezoning for the properties of Kendall and Kylie Lucas as recommended by Planning Commission and included in our packet. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes 4-1. Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Now we will move on to item number 3. This is from the Fincastle District. Wesley A. Hodges and a SEP for a campground with possible conditions in the A1 use district. Mr. McCoy.
Well, good evening again, Madam Chair, members of the board. In front of you tonight is a request for a special exception permit for a campground with possible conditions in the agricultural A1 use district in the Fincastle Magisterial District. This property may look familiar to you all. Back in November of last year, it was approved for a bed and breakfast use. The purpose of the request here tonight is to construct a temporary campground to accommodate overnight guests while that bed and breakfast is being constructed. The property is used as kind of the headquarters for Wesley Hodges Fly Fishing Company. He takes folks out and does fishing and hunting and all things wild and exciting out in the woods. And Mr. Hodges wants to accommodate those folks on his property here. As you may remember, one of the issues with the property, the big piece here is that there's a great deal of floodplain found on the property itself. Mr. Hodges had constructed some tents and platforms down by the river without getting the permits. That situation has been mitigated and mediated. Mr. Hodges has been great to work with on getting those removed through some considerable effort on his part as well. And those are no longer there today. So he has cleared up that zoning violation. In front of you is a rendering of the bed and breakfast I've included just as a reminder. This is submitted by the applicant back in March for the public hearing. And here is a site plan of the proposed campsites. So you'll see, I'm sure, those 4 smaller items to the middle left of your screen. That is the extent of this proposed campground. And as I said, it is intended to accommodate folks who are staying there for the use while the bed and breakfast is being built. Some of the conditions that are included by staff and agreed to by the applicant include the total number of tents and associated platforms shall be limited to just 4. The tents and associated platforms shall be removed from the property upon issuance of a final certificate of occupancy for the planned bed and breakfast use or by October 31st, 2025, whichever occurs first. The initial conversation about this use was a temporary campground. We don't have a use that's called a temporary campground, so this actually serves as a guarantee that once that bed and breakfast is built, those campsites will be removed. Number 3, just substantial conformance to the conceptual site plan that you all just saw. Number 4 is our typical noise generated by the development shall not violate provisions of the Botetourt County Noise Ordinance. And then number 5 is just that all other specifications and provisions shall be met as required. Believe Mr. Hodges is here tonight. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. However, he might be better able to speak to some of the operations of the property itself. Thank you.
Thank you. So Do we have any questions for Mr. McCoy?
In reading this, the 4 tents will only be there until the certificate of occupancy, and then they'll be removed.
Yes, sir.
They won't be just relocated to another part of the land.
Either when the CO is issued or October 31st, and they will be removed from the property.
Okay, thank you. It looks like it's almost like skid mounted from the pictures, so.
Yeah, from the pictures themselves, they were up on some platforms down by the river. While very nice, it's not permitted in the flood zone there. So we had some conversations, and the applicant was more than willing to work towards compliance. We had a great meeting and discussed all the ideas he's had there and some of the opportunities to get to compliance. So they're no longer there on the property.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
Absolutely.
So as we did before, I will open the public hearing, hear any comment, and then invite the applicants down or the applicant to speak. So we will open the public hearing for the SEP request in the Fincastle District. Anyone here from the public that would like to speak on this matter? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing and invite Mr. Hodges down. You can bring your assistant if you need to.
I'm Wes Hodges. I own 191 Bridge Street, Eagle Rock, Virginia. Been in here a few times, so this story is not new. As Jonathan said, we're looking to get approved for what is a temporary campground permit. The reasoning behind that is because the process in building this new bed and breakfast to accommodate my guest, it takes time. And then we have bookings that sometimes extend 2 years out, sometimes booking as of right now, 3 years out. So in an effort to accommodate all of the influx of people that want to come visit Botetourt County, we are asking to get these tents approved so they can at least stay there in the interim until this construction is completed. These tents are not just backpacking tents. They are 4-walled canvas tents known as glamping tents. In those tents, they're safe. There's no fire, I guess you'd say, or incineration devices, no stoves, nothing like that. Just beds, mattresses, and a place for people to put their head while they fish and or hunt with us. So,
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions for Mr. Hodges? I thank you for bringing something really interesting to the region and to us. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad you're booking out that far.
Yes, ma'am.
So, hearing no questions, Mr. Clinton, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am, not at this time.
Okay, I will then entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. The special exception permit for a campground, temporary campground, conditionally approved as recommended by the Planning Commission. That agrees with everything in our packet. Temporary. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Hodges. That's fantastic. That concludes our business for the evening. If no one else has anything, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Clinton, thank you so much for being with us all day virtually. That is exhausting.
Well, thank you all for accommodating it. I appreciate it.
And you participated as robustly as you would if you had been here. So I appreciate that.
Okay, thanks.
This meeting is adjourned.